You're sitting on the couch when suddenly you feel this intense stare. Your cat is looking right at you, absolutely unblinking. A minute passes, maybe two, and you just can't look away. It feels like they're peering straight into your soul. Sound familiar? Well, that's not just your imagination. This is a real phenomenon that we can call feline hypnosis. And today, we're going to unlock its mystery. We're going to dive deep into the worlds of biology and psychology to understand why a cat's gaze holds such incredible power. I promise you, after watching this, you'll look at your furry friend through completely different eyes. But before we get into the science, let's take a moment to consider just how long cats and humans have been living side by side. Our partnership began roughly 10,000 years ago, right around the time humans settled down and started farming. With the surplus of grain came the inevitable pests, mice and rats. And that's when cats, the perfect hunters, stepped onto the scene. It started as a practical arrangement, a mutually beneficial exchange. But over time, it evolved into something much deeper. The cat transitioned from a simple rodent exterminator into a true companion, a family member, and, as we'll find out today, an incredibly skilled master of communication. We'll start with the most obvious part, the anatomy. Feline eyes appear disproportionately large for their heads, especially compared to human eyes. Their huge cornea and lens allow them to capture the maximum amount of light possible. This trait was inherited from their wild ancestors, who relied on those capabilities to hunt effectively at dusk and dawn. But for us humans, those oversized eyes function as a powerful psychological trigger. Have you ever noticed how a cat's eyes glow in the dark? That effect is caused by a specialized, reflective layer behind the retina, known as the tapetum lucidum. It acts like a mirror, bouncing light back onto the photoreceptors and essentially giving them a second chance to absorb those photons. This dramatically improves their night vision. But for us, this phenomenon creates a mystical, almost supernatural image and effect that only deepens the inherent mystery of their gaze. The shape of a cat's pupil is truly unique. Their vertical slits can narrow down to tiny pinpricks in bright light and then expand in the dark to take up almost the entire iris. This precise control over the amount of incoming light gives them a distinct advantage in any lighting condition. When we observe these dynamic shifts, our brains subconsciously interpret them as a sign of intense, active, and highly expressive communication. By the way, a cat's pupil dilation isn't just about light levels. It's actually a strong indicator of their emotional state. High excitement, fear, intense interest, or a playful mood. All of these can cause their pupils to instantly widen. We, as humans, read these signals intuitively. Those wide-open, baby-like eyes trigger an instinctual feeling of adoration and the urge to protect, a response that cats may very well be leveraging. Contrary to popular belief, cats don't actually see the world in black and white. Their vision is dichromatic, meaning they can clearly distinguish shades of blue and green, but they perceive reds and pinks as shades of grey. The world appears less vibrant to them, but this is more than compensated for by their incredible ability to detect even the slightest movement. Their gaze, which can instantly pick out the tiniest detail from its surroundings, often seems incredibly focused and purposeful to us. Another key detail is the positioning of the eyes. Like all predators, a cat's eyes face directly forward. This provides them with binocular vision, allowing them to accurately judge the distance to their prey. For us humans, however, such a direct and focused gaze forms the very basis of social contact. We are accustomed to interpreting a direct look as a sign of attention and interest, and we inadvertently transfer this understanding onto our interactions with cats. Why are cats able to stare for such extended periods without blinking? It's entirely rooted in their predatory heritage. For a hunter in the wild, an untimely blink could cost them a meal or expose them to unseen danger. Evolution has equipped them with eyes that are incredibly well lubricated, enabling them to maintain that long, unwavering visual lock. Interestingly, in our human social system, we interpret that same long, unblinking stare as a sign of deep concentration and often even trust. But there's one gesture that completely changes the game. That's the slow blink. When your cat looks at you and then slowly closes and opens their eyes, know this: they are definitely not doing it because they're tired. In the world of feline communication, this is the ultimate sign of trust and affection. Essentially, it's the feline equivalent of a kiss or a smile. By closing their eyes when you're nearby, this tiny predator is showing you that they feel totally safe in your presence. Science has confirmed the significance of the slow blink. Studies show that cats are far more likely to approach a stranger if that person first establishes eye contact and then offers a slow, deliberate blink. This simple gesture immediately dissolves tension and signals to the cat that your intentions are peaceful. Think of it as the universal key to a cat's heart. Want to give it a try? It's surprisingly easy. Next time your cat is looking at you, lock eyes with her, then very slowly close your eyes and open them again. Don't break eye contact right away. Chances are your cat will return the favour and slow blink back. This is more than just observing your pet. You're engaging in a real conversation, using their native language. It's an incredible way to solidify and deepen your connection. Now let's dive into the psychology of it all. Why do we react so intensely to a cat's gaze? The key word here is neoteny. Neoteny is the retention of juvenile traits in adult species. In cats, this manifests as their large eyes, round heads, and small noses. All these characteristics mimic the features of a human infant. Our brains are evolutionarily hardwired to respond to these specific signals. Whenever we see something displaying those classic baby features, it immediately activates the centers in our brain, responsible for nurturing and parental behavior. This is a primal instinct, honed over millennia, to ensure the survival of our species. When we look into those big, expressive feline eyes, we feel a subconscious urge, a need to protect, feed, and care for that creature. Essentially, cats have masterfully hacked our entire system of parental instincts. Scientists call this collection of features the baby schema, or using the German term, Kindchenschema. Austrian ethologist Konrad Lorenz was the first to describe how this schema triggers an automatic feeling of profound adoration in us. Cats, specifically due to their facial proportions, are the perfect embodiment of this schema. Their gaze essentially hits the cute button in our brains, and there is absolutely nothing we can do to resist it. But there's more to it than just instinct. When we look into a cat's eyes, especially if it's our beloved pet, our bodies release oxytocin. This is often called the love hormone, or the cuddle hormone. It strengthens social bonds, triggering powerful feelings of attachment and trust. It is the exact same hormone released by a mother when she gazes at her child. What's fascinating is that this process works both ways. Studies show that oxytocin levels rise not just in the human, but in the cat too, during this kind of visual contact. So that look triggers a positive feedback loop. We gaze at the cat, we feel bonded, the cat feels the same way, and our connection just gets stronger. It's truly the biochemistry of love in action. Have you ever stopped to think about mirror neurons? They are the cells in our brain that activate when we observe another living being performing an action, essentially forcing us to internalize or mirror their emotions. When we see the quiet, relaxed gaze of a cat, our mirror neurons can trigger a corresponding feeling of peace and tranquility within us. We literally become infected by their serenity. Of course, anthropomorphism plays a massive part. That's our inherent tendency to ascribe human thoughts and feelings onto animals. When we look into a cat's deep, enigmatic eyes, we might see wisdom, deep understanding, or even a profound sense of melancholy. In reality, we are simply projecting our own emotions onto them, thereby creating the illusion of deep intellectual contact. Ultimately, what we truly want is to believe that they understand us without a single word. And this illusion is incredibly potent. We interpret a cat's simple curiosity as genuine interest in who we are. Their calm observation we see as a sign of deep affection. This inherent need for emotional connection compels us to read far more into a cat's steady gaze than might actually be there. But perhaps that is precisely where the magic lies. We interpret that intense stare as a mark of high intelligence, or perhaps a particularly deep, sensitive soul, when in reality the cat is probably just tracking a fly buzzing on the wall right behind your head. But our brains prefer the more romantic interpretation. This deeply held belief in their consciousness and profound feelings is ultimately what makes our bond with them so valuable and meaningful. This creates a perpetual feedback loop. The cat stares at us. We immediately melt, responding with cuddles, affection, or even food. The cat realizes that this gaze works perfectly, so it starts using that look more often to get whatever it wants. Our positive reaction reinforces this behavior. Unwittingly, we are essentially training our cat to hypnotize us. Let's approach this from an evolutionary perspective. The ability to lock eyes with a human became a critical tool in the domestication process. Cats possessing those cuter features, and especially those skilled at making visual contact, received greater access to food, warmth, and protection. Naturally, this gave them a much higher chance to survive and successfully pass on their genes. In essence, natural selection heavily favoured the most captivating, or perhaps the most mesmerising individuals. Over thousands of years of living alongside us, cats have achieved peak performance in the art of human interaction. They've completely mapped out our reactions. They know precisely what kind of look will motivate us to get off the couch and walk straight to the food dish. This isn't malicious manipulation, though. It's simply a highly effective adaptive strategy refined over millennia of evolution. A classic example is the famous begging stare. Your cat sits right across from you and begins to stare deeply into your eyes, occasionally shifting its gaze between you, its empty bowl, and the refrigerator. This is entirely learned behaviour. It knows this specific visual cue has a high probability of leading to the desired result, food. And, inevitably, we usually give in. We see the same behaviour with the attention-demanding stare. Your cat might plop down right on your keyboard or book and just lock eyes with you. She instantly blocks whatever you're doing, shifting your entire focus onto herself with that single look. It's a very direct and effective way of communicating, "Hey, I'm right here. Play with me or give me some cuddles." Cats often combine their gaze with other signals to enhance the effect. For example, they might use a steady gaze combined with loud, rumbling purring or a gentle head bunt. This is a sophisticated communication strategy that leaves us practically defenseless. They simply utilize every tool in their arsenal. Scientists have even isolated a specific type of purr that cats use strictly for manipulating humans. They weave high-frequency sounds, very similar to a distressed infant's cry, right into their regular purring. This sound, coupled with that pitiful stare, works on us every single time, triggering an immediate instinctive desire to help. So, is this actually conscious manipulation? Researchers are still debating the issue. Most experts agree that cats aren't plotting sinister schemes like cartoon villains. They are simply incredibly observant and quick studies. Through trial and error, they figured out exactly which behaviours yield the desired results, and they now successfully exploit this knowledge. It's less about intentional malice or cunning, and more about genius-level adaptation. Let's start by debunking a popular misconception. Many people think that when a cat stares intensely, it's trying to assert dominance or issue a challenge. While that might be true in the canine world, things are completely different for felines. Among cats, a direct, unblinking gaze is actually a form of threat or aggression. But when they look at a human, they are using that same behaviour in an entirely different context, purely as a way to communicate and get your attention. You need to be able to tell the difference between a friendly gaze and an aggressive one. A relaxed, curious look, especially when accompanied by a slow blink, is always a positive signal. However, a fixed, intense stare, when the pupils are narrowed to mere slits, the ears are pinned back, and the body is tense, is a clear indication of either aggression or intense fear. In that situation, it is best not to make direct eye contact with the cat. Instead, slowly break your gaze and look away, signalling that you pose no threat. So what does this all boil down to? Cat hypnosis isn't magic. It's a fascinating combination of feline biology and human psychology. Their unique eyes, inherited from predatory ancestors, perfectly tap into our instinctive perceptions of cute. And over thousands of years of cohabitation, they have masterfully learned to leverage this tool to forge an astonishingly deep interspecies bond. So, what exactly is the cat gaze? It's both a perfectly tuned hunting tool and a master key that unlocks our deepest parental instincts. It's a way of saying, I trust you, but also an extremely effective method for begging for food. It's a complex language that has evolved over 10,000 years of our amazing partnership. This feline hypnosis isn't a one-way street. It's a dialogue. Cats look at us, and we, in turn, look back at them. And it's in this exchange of glances that a unique connection is formed, one that only a cat owner truly understands. We surrender to their charms because it's deeply rooted in our nature. And honestly, deep down, we absolutely love it. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you learned something new about your furry friend, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future interesting deep dives. And now for a question for you. What do you think your cat is trying to tell you when they look at you? Share your stories and theories in the comments below. I'm really looking forward to reading them.